As they live out their final moments on Earth, these 13 prisoners are set to face execution in 2025. Brad Sigmon. This man was convicted for the 2001 double murder of his ex-girlfriend's parents and is slated for execution by firing squad on March 7, 2025 in South Carolina. This would be the state's first use of this method since its legalization in July 2024. Sigmon chose this over lethal injection, citing concerns about potential complications. Christopher Sepulvado, the 81-year-old inmate convicted of murdering his stepson in 1992, was scheduled for execution in Louisiana on March 17, 2025 via nitrogen hypoxia. This would have been the state's first execution in 15 years. However, Sepulvado died of natural causes a month prior to the execution following complications from surgery. Richard Lee. He was sentenced for a 2004 double homicide in Texas and faced execution on February 13, 2025 at the age of 46. In his final days, Tabler expressed deep remorse and chose not to appeal his sentence, accepting his fate. He was executed by lethal injection at the Huntsville unit. James Dennis. On February 13, 2025, both Richard Lee in Texas and James Dennis Ford in Florida were executed an hour apart. James was convicted for the 1997 murders of Greg and Kimberly Malnery. His execution was carried out at the Florida State Prison, which was a rare occurrence of double executions on the same day. Marion Bowman. He was convicted for the 2001 murder of Martin in South Carolina. In his final appeal to the state Supreme Court, he argued that his trial lawyer was unprepared and biased, which compromised the fairness of his trial. Despite this, he was executed on January 31, 2025. He was the first U.S. execution in 2025. Stephen Lewayne. Convicted for the 2011 murder of Reverend Clint Dobson during a robbery at North Point Baptist Church in Arlington, Texas, Stephen was executed on February 5, 2025. This case sparked debate within the Christian community, with some advocating for clemency based on biblical teachings. Regardless of the debate, he was executed by lethal injection. Robin Myers. Robin was convicted for the 1991 murder of Ludie Mae Tucker in Alabama. He faces execution, despite claims of innocence and an intellectual disability. A juror from his trial has urged for leniency, pointing at his case's lack of physical evidence and legal failures. Myers' last hope lies in clemency from the governor. Political prisoner. Ali Moezi has already outlived most of his fellow political prisoners, but Iran's notorious Geisel Hesar prison isn't known for letting people go. At 72, with prostate cancer and severe arthritis, he's among those feared to be on the regime's execution list for 2025. His family hasn't heard from him in weeks. Demetrius Terrence. This would be the fourth time this method was ever used to carry out an execution, and Demetrius Terrence chose it himself. Convicted for a 2000 murder in Alabama, he was executed on February 6, 2025, using nitrogen hypoxia. He had made that choice since as far back as 2018. Jesse Hoffman. Louisiana hasn't executed anyone in 15 years, but that's about to change. Jesse D. Hoffman Jr., convicted for the 1996 rape and murder of Mary Elliott, is first on the list. March 18, 2025 marks the state's return to capital punishment, reigniting the debate over its necessity. Legal controversy. Aaron Gunches thought he had exhausted all appeals. Arizona thought so too. He was convicted of first-degree murder, and his March 19, 2025 execution date was set until last-minute legal challenges brought Arizona's death penalty process under fire. Whether it's delayed or carried out, the case is far from quiet. Samuel Moreland. Don't know whether to count this as a stroke of luck, but Samuel has been waiting on death row since 1985. He was supposed to be executed in July 2025, but Ohio moved it to July 2028. The wait continues, but one thing hasn't changed. He's still set to die, just not yet. Percy Hutton. Ohio keeps setting execution dates and then pushing them back. Percy Hutton, who was convicted for a 1985 murder, was supposed to die in June 2025. Now it's 2028. The state's backlog of death row cases keeps growing, and critics question whether these repeated delays serve justice or just prolong suffering.